What's going on, guys? Welcome to Everything Always. My name's Michael Roman, aka Allfires. Now, the Russos have already promised that Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars are going to be two of Marvel's longest movies ever. In fact, they even went as far as to offer rough estimates for the runtimes for each film. They've said that Avengers Doomsday is going to be about 2.5 hours long, and that Avengers Secret Wars will actually be closer to 3. And again, with Marvel's normal window of 2 hours or 2 hours and 5 minutes, they only really allow you to go over that if it's a special movie. In this case, both apply. But this latest rumor that's making the rounds indicates that the Russos may have shot more than just a little extra film. They shot an insane amount of film, reportedly up to 7 hours, and this just for Avengers Doomsday. And the details that follow about what the first cut will look like and what's going on with the post-production, it's absolutely nuts. We're going to break down this latest report, what it says, what we know is already happening early next year, and what it means for the final cut of Avengers Doomsday. Man, it is insane. We're breaking it all down, but first, if you could grab the subscribe button. We do daily Marvel content at the channel. Thanks to everyone who's been subbing lately and helped grow the channel. Again, it's just like the old days. If you haven't already, if you enjoy this kind of content, the best way to support us is by hitting the sub button. Plus, it'll enter you for the giveaways. Be a sub, leave a comment, stick around at the end of the video. We get into all the giveaway stuff again there. Okay, so first off, the normal spoiler warning as it pertains to this kind of content. Not that it's a spoiler, pretty much the opposite, guys. As I've mentioned here real recently, especially with the Marvel Scoop game, with the number of new social media accounts that are out there originating scoops, sometimes it is impossible to attribute things to an original source unless it comes from one of the known outlets, the known scoopers, and we can just go directly to their post. In this case, I was not able to find who originally reported this, but it's been making its rounds on social media. Several of you had already DM'd me this morning, and this is what the report and rumor is saying, so take it with a grain of salt. But it is now being reported that the Russo brothers have over 7 hours of footage for Avengers Doomsday, and that they're going to have the first cut ready by December, but that this first cut will be long from the final cut because the movie will not be complete when it's done, and that they're expected to pick up for Secret Wars in early 2026. Now, there's actually quite a few things to unpack in here, and it's important to note that, look, for any TV show or movie, they're always going to shoot way more than they need, but having 7 hours of a cut, basically how it's being described here, isn't just 7 hours of film total. It sounds like they've got 7 hours worth of a movie that they've got to cut down, and Marvel Studios has been emphatic about there being no such thing as a director's cut. What you get in the theater, the final theatrical cut, always stands as the final version of the film, and thank God, because with the way Marvel theories work in the fandom, could you imagine trying to argue in the YouTube comments about the semantics of, is it the director's cut, is it the theatrical cut, which one is actual canon? So I think it's best that they do that. What you get is the final version. That being said, if it's true they have 7 hours of takes, that means a lot of stuff they've shot is never going to see the light of day. And of course it's true for every TV show and every movie ever. They shoot more than they need. But keep in mind, with the price of a production like this, they're literally spending thousands by the minute. You don't generally just play around and shoot a bunch of stuff off the cuff because it's really expensive. So if they've truly shot this much content for this movie, that tells me they had a lot of different ideas. They're going to put them together now and go for this first cut. But that's where the part of this quote-unquote rumor gets extremely believable. Of course it will not be the final cut when they've got the first cut in December. That'll just be their working point to know exactly what they need to inform them on what to do with all of the reshoots. And I even pause to call them that because, as several industry insiders like Jeff Snyder have indicated, Daniel RPK has corroborated this, the movie's nowhere near done. You can say that the first round of principal photography is done, but these reshoots have always been planned. It's basically another round of principal photography, and I think getting that first cut done in December, at least for their own sake, is going to let them know exactly what they need to shoot in the reshoots to make the final cut of the film. So they have their work cut out for them, pun totally intended. And then the last part of this report, if they're truly trying to pick up with Secret Wars in the springtime of 2026, that does not give them the rest of the year to work on the movie. And I think there were some of us who've been talking about this, myself included, who thought that they might work on Doomsday a lot later into the year because they have all year before the release date in December before they got into Secret Wars. But apparently they know Secret Wars is going to take even more time and they want to start getting that shot now. What this all tells me, though, though, is that whatever was left in the script that needed to be cracked, whatever the parts of the story that were important for the details to sort of checkpoint them to go forward in Secret Wars, they've probably gotten past that point now. So where a lot of these plot leaks have fallen short and basically only given us maybe the first act and a half, and that was always believable because we know the end of the movie wasn't written yet, I would say at this point they've pretty much got everything mapped out. So next round of principal photography, basically right after the first of the year, and then they're obviously going to be working on the CGI, even though they may have a final cut, say, in the mid-summer sometime, they'll still be working on that CGI, I guarantee you, up to like 2 weeks before the release. There's just going to be so many frames for them to go over and work on, and I really hope at this point, Marvel Studios' movie by committee ends up serving them instead of hindering them, because if they've got a good story and they've got it locked in, man, the less voices, the better. The less cooks in the kitchen, the better. And Michael Waldron actually just clarified this about being on Kang Dynasty and being on Secret Wars originally as a writer and then leaving. He basically just explained it as, hey, I was working on these projects. I got pretty far. I gave Steve McFeely and the Russos what I got when they came on board to do Avengers 5 and Avengers 6. I left and let them be and do their thing, and now they've brought me back into their room to help, and he basically said, look, I'm not really rewriting anything, I'm just there to support them. And as we've said in the past, Michael Waldron's the most important guy to have in the room. He crafted the Loki stuff, he's worked on a lot of the multiverse lingo, he basically is the architect of what we've seen on screen, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. This is the guy they need in the room to sort of keep that continuity going, but it's not a case of, we need another writer, we need someone to work on scenes. It's really just the brain trust at Marvel, making sure they keep the continuity there. Either way, guys, I am all for movies being long, but I think as we've seen over the last 3 or 4 years, audiences don't want a long movie just for the sake of it. There are some movies like Oppenheimer that may call for it, that may have earned it, so to speak. But if you're like me in some instances and your gut instinct is to say, yes, give me a 4-hour Avengers Doomsday movie, you may not actually mean that. And as evidence of that, look when they release some of these post-credit scenes, and I'm not just talking about the CGI not being done. Very generally, scenes that are cut were cut for a reason. You guys let me know all your thoughts though down below, how hyped you are for Avengers Doomsday. I'm all ears as always. Quickly, let's get into the giveaway stuff before I let you go. All right, we're still giving away PS5s. The next one is for Wonder Man coming up in a couple of months. Plus, we'll do some other giveaways for the holiday season. If you want to be entered to win, super simple. All you got to do, hit the sub button, then leave a comment down below. And because it's truly random, the more videos you comment on, the better chance you have of winning. All winners will always be announced at the end of videos live with my voice in the winning comments shown on screen. Hit the notification bell with all notifications turned on to keep up with the channel. And of course, if you like today's video, I'd appreciate it if you'd hit the like button. My name's Michael Roman. Find me in a couple of places, Instagram and Twitter at IamFires. Find me in all other places with original music under the name All Fires. And while I would sincerely appreciate you checking my music out, including the song you're hearing now in the background, thanks to those of you who already have. I appreciate the support. Thanks for the support here at the channel. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.